I'm the candidate of the group. At the end of the day, I don't have any kind of specific, I would say, technical training in cybersecurity. And the idea for me is to really try to understand things on the level. So just make sure that, I mean, for the sake of myself, that you can, explain things in a kind of simple way. The idea of the podcast is really to bring awareness. Okay, so feel free to step up and to explain to emphasize your expertise, but do not hesitate to be kind of back to basic if you need to do so.
Okay,
so
it's fine.
Excellent. So our first question, as a ritual, is always to ask basically, what is your background? What is your story towards cybersecurity?
So I've been working. So I'm François Gratiolet. I've been working in the cybersecurity field since 18 years. So it's quite long. I started around in 2000s, and I had different professional experience, technical to start. More management and organizational later. I was Chief Information Security Officer for a large French company, La Poste. And after that, I joined Qualys for 3 years as a Chief Strategy Officer for Europe region. And now I started my own venture 2 years ago. So the name of the venture is Business Digital Security, and it's very simple. The positioning is strategy and marketing advisory for digital and cybersecurity. We have 3 ambitions. The first one is to make cybersecurity a management matter for executives and board of directors. The second ambition is a real topic to facilitate the relationship between end users and solution providers. And the third one is to contribute to the emergence and development of technology startups or small, medium enterprises.
Excellent. And what is at the moment, what is your remit in terms of geographical remit? Are you focusing on the French market, continental market? How do you operate?
I'm working for, I would say, 2 kinds of customers. First one is large companies, so mostly in financial and insurance world. So it's companies with headquarters in Paris, in France, but with a global footprint. So I did a few assignments, not in France, not in Paris, but I will say it's mostly in France. And the second type of customers are startups, vendors in technology, in cybersecurity. So it's the kind of activity I'm leading at the moment, and also working for some VCs and people who want to invest in cybersecurity companies.
Okay, as a kind of advisor, you mean, or basically you are kind of directing them towards the right type of company to acquire? I mean, what is your
so just starting because there is a lot of a segment around cybersecurity. So VCs or investors want to understand better the market, and so they can request people like me to help them if they want.
Okay, that's really interesting actually. So when you speak about security with this company, do you especially work with companies who are startup in cybersecurity as well, or just can you just describe a bit what you're doing with them? Because it's really interesting company right now. They get plenty of startups out there, and I think people will be interested to understand exactly what the trend, for example, what the kind of best products sell for cybersecurity right now, and how you are helping them to get out there. Yeah.
For solution providers, it's is I would say deliver value proposition around accelerating their business. So it's not about sales development, but more about, for example, business model review or design. How can the vendor be more well positioned on the market? Which strategy? What are the impacts of regulations? For example, if we take GDPR or Network Information Security Directive, is it good, positive for my business? It's an opportunity, but how can I go further with this kind of regulation? How can I leverage it? It could be also positioning papers. So it's very, I would say the positioning of the firm is very focused on strategic marketing. So we, for example, we use, because the challenge is very different from large companies, for helping them to shape cybersecurity strategy. For vendors or startups, very small companies, you cannot you say have I would say a traditional consulting culture, saying, okay, you just have to use a very complex methodology, so you have to bring a very actionable toolbox. So, for example, we use the business model canvas framework. It's a methodology, a powerful methodology. Maybe you have heard about it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And, yeah. So it's a good start, because you can present findings to founders, to investors, to partners. And it's quite simple. So you bring a little bit methodology, but the end is not the methodology. The end is to find the right positioning and the right strategy.
So you think this kind of approach is really interesting for entrepreneurs as well? So because they can decide where they need to go, if I remember right, you define your channel, define your price strategy, what you pay for as well. So
exactly.
Yeah, okay.
And yes, we had a request last week from a French cybersecurity vendor. Say, okay, we would like to sell more. Okay, so it's fine, but what is the tax? And it sounds obvious, but strategy is question of having objectives. So if you have objectives to be present in 3 regions and generate 300 million of dollars of euros, it will not be the same strategy and allocation of resources. So it's very different, and you cannot do everything with a small amount of money. And so we go back to this business model canvas. We also leverage it for large companies, for chief information security officers, because resources are not infinite in large companies. Obviously, when you talk about cybersecurity, so how can they allocate budget at the right place? How can they do more with less, etc., etc. So it's a good toolbox for shaping cybersecurity strategy, because they have to think more about it in a strategic way.
Yeah, so it's typically you are kind of becoming a business within the business. So you're selling your security expertise within the business. That's really interesting, actually.
Yes, and we have started with a friend of mine and a training in France. So we'll start in April. The first session will be in April. So it's more for specialists in cybersecurity. It could be managers, operational managers. It could be chief information security officers, etc., etc. And the title of the session is the art of strategy in cybersecurity. So the idea is to give them tools to understand in a better way their business, to understand how they can align cybersecurity with corporate strategy, and at the end, how they can use, for example, the business model canvas to manage better their cybersecurity department.
Okay.
So this kind of to illustrate the positioning, and so we have a good traction around these topics, and I hope it will be fine in a few months.
Okay, So it's typically there's something was coming as well from that. It's that's an interesting question to have. Maybe it's for we are talking about within the business. Do you think security right now can be used as well as a marketing angle for the company, like typically to be out there?
Yeah, it could be, but to be honest, it depends a lot on the business, on the vertical. So if we consider digital business, so digital, it's companies which make money with IT and digital product, because digital is very buzzword, so everybody is is talking about digital, but for me digital is generating revenues with digital products. So yes, it could be a differentiator, I would say competitive advantage for these companies. For other companies it could be useful, for example, if you look at the the rating they have from financial agencies like Standard & Poor's, etc. So it could be a good point to write into their annual reporting. But in most cases, you can find a linkage between cybersecurity and business, but it's not obvious. So it's not obvious, and it depends a lot on, I will say, on the vertical. So if you take insurance or banking, there are regulatory burdens, so they have to do it, but they can leverage it. For example, if you take GDPR, it's quite very strict. It's very strict, but if you think about it a little bit, you can say, okay, it's a good opportunity for the company to understand what are the sensitive data, where they are located. They can think about their business processes, so they can do a re-engineering around business. So it could be a good leverage, and they can find new ideas and opportunities because of GDPR. So I think GDPR is a good example to say, okay, it's fine, you have to be compliant, it's quite huge, but we can also leverage this opportunity to accelerate business for our corporation.
Okay, Jet, I would like to just take a little step back, so we can kind of make sense of all of this, all this picture. So if you got to define, if you had to define cybersecurity for executive people, for board members, so you can make a link between the big challenges of what we can call cybersecurity and what we can call at the moment all this kind of digital transformation landscape. Can you give a kind of definition of what is for you the big challenge of cybersecurity, as for what is cybersecurity, and what is the link between this and what people call digital and digital transformation? A bit more of a kind of a basic on those one.
Yes. So there are several points. The first one, cybersecurity. Yes, it's a buzzword, and cybersecurity, in my words, it's the same. Is the same word as information security. Okay. For specialists, maybe for Paul, or maybe not William, but so information security is all about, I will say, information technology security and data security. So it's the content and the infrastructure. So definitions are quite important, because if you take the Gartner, they have a definition for cybersecurity, and they include all the items I mentioned, but also they include offensive cybersecurity. So it could be a question. Digital transformation. So it's the way corporations are using for example, IT solutions, IT technology, information technology, to leverage their business processes internally. For example, we have all smartphones to work remotely. We have laptops. We have a few services. So employees in the corporation, they can work better and in better condition, etc., etc. So it's part of a digital transformation. But I would say digital transformation for me is more the part of a business who is going to be digital and to generate revenues with customers, partners, etc., etc. So if you go back to your question, the question is how we can embed or incorporate cybersecurity in digital. So it could be very powerful, useful for if you go to market and you want to sell and to market a new digital product, cybersecurity could be a differentiator. But we have to gather to collect your customers' need and to do a good marketing before, because we can imagine some customer will be very happy to have, for example, strong authentication on a web service. And some they say, "Oh, I don't want to hear about this kind of technical stuff. It's too complex for me. I just want to find to enter a password."
Yeah.
So you have to find the right balance between regulatory constraints, between your customers and business expectations. And I will say the baseline in cybersecurity, because you have to find the right level of resources, because you want to allocate amount of money regarding your business objective. So it's question of marketing of business. So maybe in some companies it will be useful to have strong authentication, because it will be a new customer will buy your products because they will be feel confident when buying the products. Whereas in other verticals or businesses, it will be a waste, a kind of waste.
Okay. And on that point, if I may, you mentioned several times the question of resources versus the target. I mean, do you have a kind of I will say classical ratio? I mean, would you say that for each company they should have 10% or 20% of their IT resources dedicate only to cybersecurity matters? I mean, do you have those kind of rule set in stone in a way, or guideline?
It's quite...
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Another way to ask the question is to say, how can you measure if a company is investing enough from an external point of view in cybersecurity as a first kind of metric in a way? Sorry, go ahead now.
It's a good question, but very difficult. If we have some I would say metrics on the market, so we can say that cybersecurity budget is vary between 3-4% and 10% of overall IT budget.
Okay.
But it depends a lot of industry, the vertical, and the maturity, the current situation of a company. So if you have a lot of things to do and weaknesses, we'll invest maybe a lot in cybersecurity in the coming years, but after that it will go back to a normal situation. So there are few researches around these topics. I think it's Gordon. There is a rule or law called Gordon law, and these guys said you don't need to invest more than, I think it's 37% of I would say of the value in the asset.
Okay.
So it's the maximum. If you go over this figure, it will be useless.
You mean to secure the asset? That's what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you think about it, 37% is very huge.
Yeah.
So it just research, and it's not the real life, but it gives you some metrics. I think the best thing to assess the expected budget or the required budget is to gather the needs, the business needs, and to say, okay, we have this kind of risk. We can have figures around this risk, and in front of this risk, we are going to place controls. It could be protection, it could be detection, it could be a reaction. So it depends, I will say, on the value at risk and the current situation of a company. But so I think you have to have a balanced approach. So you can say, okay, on average, budget is around between 3 and 10% of the IT budget, so it's a good indicator. But also we have to think about the value of the asset at risk. So it's a question of risk management, and it depends a lot on the, I would say, the corporation risk appetite, their culture, their maturity, etc.
And how do you? I mean, I'm asking you the question because obviously you were in a position in the past where, as a CISO or as someone who is high rank into that kind of security committee, I would say you were in a situation where you could have an influence on those kind of decision, budget, projection, strategy. I mean, would you say that on the French market you had, from your point of view, you had the right hand in a way? Would you say that you were in control of that on all those aspects? Can you tell us a bit more, with insiders type of mindset? What is the mindset in the French ecosystem from on that point of view?
I think it's if we take corporation in France, banks, insurance are having a good maturity. They are investing a lot in this kind of topics in cybersecurity, because they have the compliance rules, so they do not have a choice. But also all this business, particularly for insurance companies, they are going digital. So tomorrow, maybe even today, they are becoming, we can say, a sort of internet company. And so the value is the information assets. And and for example, insurance company, they collect a lot of personal data, they collect a lot of business data, and they are going to analyze, to do big data around these topics, to, for example, propose you a new premium for your car insurance. So information is part of a business, and you have to manage the data and you have to protect it. And it could be part of a value proposition if cybersecurity could be part of a value proposition. It's a question of brand, of reputation, but also a question of regulatory compliance.
Okay. So
but I would say it's emerging, and people have a budget which is a ratio of IT budget. But if we go back to basics, cybersecurity is not only IT; it's all the corporation. So we can say yes. IT cybersecurity budget is 5% of IT budget, so it's fine. But we have also over cost, indirect cost, hidden cost of cybersecurity. If you say, okay, we have to do vulnerability management and patch your servers, so it's fine. You will have to pay for a solution for organization around vulnerability management, but you have also hidden cost for IT, because when you patch a server, it will cost some amount of money, etc., etc. So if we go to, for example, some department or organization within the corporation, if they engage in the cybersecurity program, they will have to pay for awareness, for maybe specific controls, etc., etc. So when we talk about cybersecurity budget, it's fine, but it's not all the big picture, because what are the total cost for cybersecurity? It's not easy to understand, to answer this question.
Okay. So typically, do you think that something should be separated from IT, from basis? Because based on what you said, typically it's just everybody in everybody's mind right now. It's security is kind of bound with IT forever almost. So, but as everybody know, as you said, it's more global approach. It should be more global approach for to the company. So it should be probably a separated budget. What you saw about that?
Yeah, there are several stories on the market, and there are corporations having the CISO in the IT department. Some having the CISO in other department, etc., etc. So yes, if you are in the IT department, the pro is you have, I would say, a minimal budget, and you are working with people in the IT department. So cybersecurity, there is a great part around securing IT infrastructure. So it's better to work closely with these people. So we see it an advantage. But on the other part, as you mentioned, it could be tricky because if your boss say, okay, this year you will have 1 million euros for your IT security budget, but next year, if I want, it will be only 200,000 euros. Because this year I have other IT projects for the corporation, so I don't want to invest more in cybersecurity. So there is, I would say, a conflict of interest. You could have a conflict of interest, but it's a question of human relationship. So you can have a CISO in the IT department or in the risk management department. I would say it's the relationship between the CISO and with his other stakeholders.
Yeah, and typically, based on your history, for example, when you work for La Poste, do you have a good story to tell us about maybe how it was difficult to get budget, or or maybe not, maybe it was easy, I don't know.
No, it was fine.
Yeah, it was fine. Okay,
it was fine, but I think when I left La Poste. Say, okay, visiting customers with Qualys and etc. Yes, we had a good budget, but I think it's not a question of figures of budget, because you can do very great things with very small budget. It's a question of doing the right thing at the right moment. So we can see corporations, they invest a lot in cybersecurity, in technology tools. Okay, it's fine, but at the end, is it useful? So I think you have to understand very well the business of your corporation, the value chain, where are the crown jewels in your business. If you have no crown jewel, you don't need to invest a lot in cybersecurity. But if you don't have crown jewels, I think your business does not bring value to the market. So that's another issue. But in every corporation, you will find a few crown jewels, and you have to understand and identify these crown jewels and to protect in priority this kind of assets.
Okay, so it's typically crown jewel. To just explain to people, it's your value assets within the company. That's right.
Yes, and we say we have two kinds of cybersecurity. We have Asian, so you have to scan your servers, to patch your Windows machine, etc., etc. It's part of a day-to-day business of cybersecurity.
The routine, in a way.
It's the baseline. And after that, we have specific controls for specific asset and business. So you have to find the right level.
Which depend on the vertical in which you are with of the industry. That's what you meant, yeah?
Yes, and it's very interesting. There was a paper written by the World Economic Forum. I think it was in January of this year. So it was interesting because they raised questions. Board of directors will have to ask for themselves, and also they will have to ask their chief information security officers. And the idea is to have the big picture of the cyber risk posture in the corporation.
Okay, that's good. I think I remember because we know each other for a while now. So we had a discussion once about La Poste and how they took over really early the digital transformation. Is it something we can discuss a bit about, or are you alright to talk about it? Or?
No, because it was a few years ago, and La Poste is transforming a lot, and not allowed to discuss this kind of things, and it will be not up to date because
okay, well, that's fine.
It was a few years ago, and
fair enough. But without going into the details, what's interesting in that is that you were involved in a large kind of program when this kind of thing wasn't that fashionable or sexy on the map. I mean you end of 2007, beginning of 2008. What I would like to understand on the principle side of thing is what triggered this type of program, because we already got this idea of France being kind of most of the time behind the line, kind of slow paces, and as a matter of fact, that's wrong in certain case. I mean, you were involved into a massive, a big company, important into the French psyche, La Poste, and managed to implement something quite large. I mean, can you kind of, without going into the details, because as you said, technically it's kind of old now. You left that role back in 2011, but what was the journey over there? What as on the cybersecurity maturity type of level, I would say.
Yeah. I will talk about that and my current customer with business digital security. I think the difference between 2010 and now, it's the complexity. So we have more regulations.
Okay.
We are, I would say, threats and risks are visible. It's not, a question of specialists, because if you read Financial Times, Le Figaro, Les Echos in France, you have every day a story about cybersecurity.
True. Yeah.
So it's, I would say, maturity is growing. There are interest from board of directors and executives, but now the question is, I have got the right strategy. How can I execute it? So it's the challenges at the moment to say, okay, I will do the baseline. How can I ensure that I am at the right level? So it's the challenge. La Poste, it was a great experience, and I can see the same kind of approach at my customer side. So the challenge is to raise awareness at executives, because cybersecurity, maybe it's exciting for you and for me and etc., but it's not the business. So you have to find the right positioning and the right messaging you are going to I would say, in bracket, to sell, to market to executives, because you want them to engage. So you have to find the techniques, to find the budgets, etc., etc. So if we go back to triggers, I think there are a few triggers. The first one, it could be a very, I would say, a huge cyber incident in your company or outside, in the same vertical. So it's a good, it's a trigger I've seen in some companies. It could be also a new strategy. So we are going digital fully. So we have to address digital and cyber risk. It could be also a good trigger to set up, as you mentioned, a journey, a new cybersecurity strategy, where a company is going to buy another company, etc., etc. So I would say the trigger is a big event, which drive a company to change and to go beyond with cybersecurity. But it's most of the time it's I would say an incident.
Okay, incident. If not an external accident, something that make you kind of realize that you've got to do something now, rather than a kind of mature process, which is kind of interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So it's cybersecurity is a question of change management and transformation. So in every transformation, you have to tell the good story to people. So it could be everything. So you have to find the glue between the corporation and the employees to. It's like you are going to introduce a new IT tool, for example, a new ERP system.
Mm-hmm.
It's a change, so people don't want to change. So you have to find it's a traditional tools for change management. But yes, I would say triggers could be also investors, because they want to have I would say assurance around your cybersecurity posture and maturity. It could be investors, as I said. Yes, it could be regulation and external auditors, etc., because your company is listed. So you have to show you are fine with cybersecurity. There is a new regulation in the US for banking, and they will need to do more with cybersecurity and investments. So it's a circle, because you have incidents, so you have more strict regulations, and you have more strict regulations, you have more cybersecurity. So it's
more job for you.
Yeah. It was kind of an issue right now, because out there you don't have so much people to who are kind of working on cybersecurity. Apparently, a lot of company get issued to get people in board, get the right skills, and I think William work on different projects, because your main step is on the requirement as well. So I think it would be interesting to understand why we get this lack of resources right now, because it's becoming really difficult, I think, for company.
Just to rebound on what you just said, I mean, for the near future, a lot of people are talking about topics like IAM, cryptology, Internet of Things. All those kind of little topics were, at the end of the day, directly or indirectly related to what we can call cybersecurity. I mean, is that affecting the way you are interacting with the market? Can you see those kind of topics as being the kind of future triggers for company to say, okay, we need to embrace it, and if we need to embrace it, we need to take cybersecurity in a serious way? Or do you think that it's just again a kind of buzzword, or just sexy jargon rather than serious things?
Yes.
How do you see things evolve?
Yes, it's we work with business digital security. We work a lot on cloud computing adoption, and so there are several barriers in corporations. So it's cybersecurity. It could be social. It could be your human resources, because if you buy cloud solutions, what are you going to do with IT people? So it's an issue, and so it's not easy to. Companies are buying more and more cloud solutions, and cybersecurity is at the same time an enabler and also a blocker. So yes, no, it's not buzzword. And if you go to IoT, what is IoT is vast amount of data, platform, a cloud architecture, etc. Because cloud, the power of cloud, you can compute, analyze a lot of data. So IoT is a network plus platform plus cloud plus data to manage and to protect. So with the adoption of this kind of new technology and use cases and new digital products, yes, it's clearly a point to address, and cybersecurity is part of the story. If we go back to IoT, if you don't have security by design, physical products, objects, it will be a nightmare. Imagine all the car makers, if they sell bad products because digital is part of the car. It will be a nightmare. It could be a nightmare. So people understanding it will be an issue to address and to incorporate cybersecurity into the Internet of Objects. Yeah, clearly.
Yeah, because we get this story of I won't say the name of the brand, but just have to get some hacker get remote access to the car, so they was able to trigger the horn, trigger the brake. Was quite kind of dangerous issue, and yeah, they have to call back all these car. So yeah, it's definitely an issue. And you touch it, I think, because right now the main issue they have as well is they got long cycle to release the car. So if they're not starting at the early beginning, they're kind of stuck. So yeah, this is definitely something. Yeah.
Did you watch the movie called IT with Pierre Brosnan? I watched this movie this weekend, and it's quite fascinating because it's the story of a businessman, and he's going to hire an IT guy in his company. So they are sailing flights, etc., etc. And the businessman is going to explain to the IT guy, "Oh, I have a Wi-Fi problem at my home. So could you help me and repair the Wi-Fi?" So the guy, go to the home of a businessman, etc., etc. And in fact, this guy is a hacker, and he's not a good hacker; he's a bad hacker. So he's going to do very bad things against the family of a businessman. He's going to monitor because the guy has a very wealthy system for video monitoring, etc., etc. So all is digital in his house. He has a very powerful car with digital gadgets everywhere. And in the movie, you see what the hacker can do with all this connection, Internet of Things, digital house, etc., etc. So it's a fiction, but tomorrow it could be this kind of issues, because you can do blackmailing.
Yeah.
How would you say? Blackmailing for people. So it's very crazy and a good film to see.
Okay, so the taking from all of that is that specifically on the IoT side of things, there's got to be a shift of mindset for all the industry to think of cybersecurity at the beginning of the process, rather than
wait for it.
Well, yeah. But it's a complete shift. It's true, because a lot of things are just simply new with no map. So yeah, pretty interesting. Good.
And if you do the comparison between you do some works in your house, you have some guarantees that the architecture, the physical architecture, is fine, and if it is not fine, the supplier is going to pay fines. If you go to the IT world, it's not the case. So you buy your software, and if the software is not good, there are weaknesses, there are no fines. So it could be an issue to think about it, because if you are not engaging software editors, providers, there are not incentives to have good softwares. And there was a paper in The Economist and around these topics, quite interesting. And so yes, you say you have to think about the budget before, not at the end. but you know the business pressure you have to put on the market, the new digital products, etc. So maybe it could be a law or regulation which will raise awareness, and because it could be very. You have to worry about that. I think so.
Okay. Excellent. I think maybe the last question before we end up the podcast, it's what's your best $100 invest in some things? That's the question we're asking to everybody. It's like kind of, can be a book, can be anything.
Yeah, so I think the best purchase was Dashlane. Dashlane is a password management solution. Okay. I think I have 200 passwords and IDs for websites. Wow. Okay. So it's crazy. And with this small application, I think it's maybe $30 a year. You can manage all this, your password, and synchronization is automatic, etc., etc. So you can have it on your iPhone, on your iPad, on your Microsoft laptop, etc., etc.
That's cool. Can you Paul, were you aware of that application?
Yeah.
Or can you?
Typically, okay. I'm not using this one actually. That's the French provider, so it's good Cocorico, let's say. But I'm using LastPass, so I'm more on the.
Yeah, it's the same.
It's just Pilier is a competitor. So, but that's definitely a good thing to do. Is people forget it's better to have randomly generate password, and using remembering only one strong password for your password manager, and using randomly password on different website, because if some of this for any reason we see a lot,
you can lose your device.
You can lose your device. For example, big social media can be compromised, and if using the same password across different websites, the guy just have to try on different platform to get you. So that's good, definitely a good point. Okay, perfect. Thanks a lot, Francois. Take some time to be with us.
It was fast. I think we are talking since maybe 1 hour.
Yeah.
So. I speak too much.
No, that's
good. We'll make the relevant cut. Look, now look. To be honest, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate the how do you say that in proper English? The pedagogy.
I try to do it in a pedagogic way.
Yeah.
It was really good. Thank you for your time. We really appreciate your the approach and the fact that you took the time to explain the different challenges that you are facing at the moment. And yeah, we hope that we'll have some little comment from our viewers. And we'll make sure that we put all the credential on the podcast. Last one, if I may, do you have any books that you would recommend on the cybersecurity side of things? Any authors that you are following on a regular basis?
So I think two interesting books. One whose title is Beyond Cybersecurity.
Okay.
Another one, I don't know the title in English because it was in French. It was written by a partner from PwC in France. And I think
you can see the title in French. We'll put the credential on it.
I think that you got it. La cybersécurité au-delà de la technologie. Philippe Rousseau. That one.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And we have the same in English. It's Beyond Cybersecurity. So it's quite good. You can go also on my website. You have pages, insights. So there are a few papers around cybersecurity, the market, innovation, business, etc., etc. I think the two books are quite good, and it's very useful to read them. Yeah.
Okay.
No, excellent.
Perfect.
Merci beaucoup.
Ouais. Merci.